I'm Joe. It's Monday. It's actually Monday this time, it's not a lie. Thankfully I found a library around the corner from my lady's place here, which is tiny. It's like the village library and it's got like 2 shelves of books, but as it happens, it also has computers with internet. So I'll be uploading, I can upload that tomorrow. It's Sunday at the moment. So yes, hi, welcome to week 2, and today we're talking about, the topic is on figuring out your trans. This is a kind of amusing one for me because I was basically very slow on the uptake. There were plenty of signs and reasons why I should have figured it out a lot earlier, but I just didn't. I mean, when I was younger, I was very sort of conventionally tomboyish. All of my friends have always been boys, and my worst kind of time psychologically was when I was 10 years old and I went to an all-girls boarding school, and that was just like terrible. Obviously that doesn't mean I'm a boy, because you know, boys get on very well with girls sometimes. I get on very well with boys, and that was a really tough time for me. There are lots of other reasons for that, but you know what I mean. That's obviously a bit. And actually even before that, like when I was maybe I'm gonna say like 5, I was climbing trees with my cousins in my grandparents' back garden, and one of my cousins was sort of commenting on what a tomboy I was, how I dressed like a boy and did all boy stuff, and he was like, would you want to be a boy? And I was like, well, yeah. Like it was the most obvious thing in the world. And he was like, oh, that means I'm not going to say the word, but he said, that means you're a T then. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, NBD. I didn't know what it meant. I was just like, whatever. But yeah, so I suppose that cousin of mine was probably the first person who was on to me. I always liked to wear boys' clothes. I insisted to my mother at age of about, maybe around that same sort of time, like 5 or 6, we were in the supermarket buying underwear, as you do when you're a classy child. And I was like, Ma, please don't make me wear those frilly pink things any longer. I hate them, they're terrible. Please, can I have these nice blue ones? And she was like, yeah, sure. Being the cool mother she is. So I've worn boys' underwear since I was about that age. I was just like, you know. Again, none of these things mean I'm a boy. They're more comfortable, so there's lots of reasons why girls who are comfortable as girls would wear boys' underwear, but you know, they're little, you know, inklings. The most important memory for me is probably, and this is one that I had forgotten about for a long time, until about 3 years ago I remembered this. And this is also the memory that I cried while telling Stuart Lorimer about, so we've got to just hope that I'm going to refrain now, because I don't have a nice Stuart Lorimer here to give me his hanky. When I was about, I'm going to say 10 years old, I was lying in bed, my bunk bed, wherever we were living. I think we were living in Lincoln at the time, and with my still flat chest, I was lying there, and I was a very sort of like odd, thoughtful, pensive, mature child. I was lying there, not sleeping, and I put my hands across my chest and just kind of, I was thinking about the fact that it wasn't going to stay like that, and that, you know, things were going to start, sinister rumblings were afoot, and I was going to, you know, not have this flat chest for much longer. And I just sort of took a moment, I don't know how else to put it, I took a moment to like mourn my flat chest, little 10-year-old Joe. And I was like, okay, there's nothing you can do about this, just like, you're just gonna have to let it go. So just like, okay, and like, got on with things. I think I was like that with a lot of things. I can be very sort of, I'll compartmentalize, and I basically continued to do that. I compartmentalized for a very long time. I ignored all of the sort of like very obvious signs. At one point, there's a poem that I wrote when I was like 15, maybe 14 or 15, that is so trans. It's like the most hilariously trans poem you've ever read, about like about envying a male friend of mine because of, you know, his nice flat chest and whatnot, and I was just totally oblivious. Even my mother, right, around that sort of time, took me aside in the kitchen and was like, look, you know, if you want to have a sex change, that would be okay. And I was like, what? It was like an amusing anecdote to laugh with my sister about. This is how much I just pushed this down. I was so terrified of being a trans person. I completely I was like, nah. Even up until the point where like about 3 years ago, was when I first sort of started properly questioning. I was like, something isn't right here, I'm gonna look into this. And I kind of went to the old internet and looked into things, and basically I was faced with all of this, like, surgery, rah, things, phalloplasties, scary pictures of phalloplasties, and I was just like, yeah. At this point, I spoke to my mum and my sister about it at that point, 3 years ago. I was like, look, I'm having some questions about my gender, but, like, don't freak out, like, I'm probably just genderqueer, like, don't worry. And all of these, you know, the research that I did, the online community that I found at that point was very surgery-centric and very, particularly lower surgery-centric, and that wasn't something I wanted. And as far as I was concerned, that was a perfect opportunity, perfect excuse for me to be like, well, I don't want that, so I can't possibly be trans. So I just put it away. I was like, oh, maybe I'm genderqueer, whatever, and I just buried it again for another 3 years. And then around this time last year, it was basically getting pretty dire. You ignore something for that long, it's gonna kind of start rearing its head, whether you like it or not, and it did. This time last year I started losing an awful lot of weight, and I'd been sort of planning cutting my hair off, and I'd also been wearing a sports bra that was like 3 sizes too small for me for months and months, and layering and basically makeshift binding without acknowledging it. And I'd be sat in seminars like doing the, you know, as immortalised by Chase Ross, the trans boy shirt tug in all my seminars. And yeah, I was getting really skinny. Stevie was kind of getting a bit freaked out, not freaked out, but she was kind of worried, really concerned about how skinny I was getting. Obviously she's the one who sees me with any clothes on, and she was like, this isn't good, you're losing too much weight, you're really, you know, there's something wrong. And really, we didn't even need to, it didn't take much thought to know what it was that was wrong. We knew it was a gender thing. So yeah, I cut all my hair off at Glastonbury last year, and that felt so much better. I bought a binder coming up like the beginning of the academic year last year, so like October, so yeah, I bought a binder, started binding. That made me feel so much better. I stopped shaving my legs like over like a year and a half ago, and that was another thing that made me feel so much better. I would probably have stopped shaving my underarms too, but I just have no underarm hair. This is just an embarrassing facet of my life. I just don't grow any, which is so sad. I wonder if you can get like underarm merkins. I would buy one of those. Anyway, no, I'm rambling. I wanted to make this short. Shit, it's almost 8 minutes long. Arse. Okay, I'm gonna hurry now. So basically, yeah, then eventually I started making little changes like that. I spoke to my family towards the end of the summer holidays last year. I started seeing a therapist, just like a general therapist, at the beginning of the academic year, so October, and I was basically out by late November, December. And because I'd waited so long, and because I'd been doing all of the kind of thinking about it for so long in my own head, by the time I was out then, I was like, okay, I'm ready, and this is kind of quite a... And since then it's been a relatively fast process in terms of coming out, changing my name. I changed my name in February, and I've since seen Stuart Lorimer at Gender Care. Obviously, I mean, don't even talk to me about the NHS, like, we'll address that another time. But yeah, so from that point onwards, because I thought about it for so long, and because I pushed it away for so long and kept it all in here, and was so unsure, the amount of thinking that I'd done by the time I came out, it didn't take me very long to be sure. And the further I go in transitioning, the more secure I am in my identity, and just the happier I am. Everything's better, my relationship's better, my family life is better, I'm functioning better as a student, as like a person. It's great. So figuring out that I was trans, it was a hilarious, long, ridiculous journey. But the way it's gone has meant that I don't really have any doubts, which is nice. I know doubts are something that plague a lot of people, but because I'm such a slow decision maker and such a slow, thoughtful kind of person, that's given me quite a lot of security in being at the stage that I'm at now. So, right, it's almost 10 minutes long, so I'm gonna just shut the hell up right now. And I promise I will try to get quicker at this. I hope you're all having a good week. Stay cool. Bye.